This is going to be my attempt to explain, to talk out, and to figure out for myself why it is that I've decided to blog or be an original, those are quotes, an original content provider. I have a fairly intricate online presence in that I have, I have a Diaryland account from years ago, and I have a LiveJournal account. I have a pretty much defunct Flickr account. I haven't kept up with that at all. I have my, Kinja account where I keep track of some feeds that I like. I'm very, very interlaced with I know a lot of people are, but not a lot of my real life friends are. I mean, there's a dog like licking me, so if I seem distracted, she keeps, every time I'm vlogging, she comes over to say hello and lick me and put her paws on my lap. So anyway, I think that I first decided to start blogging, not as an outlet for frustration, as some people do, but more as a creative spur. In the past, as a girl, off and on, I kept pen and paper journals or diaries, and I found those really helpful, and I found that I liked having a historical account to look back on. Although when I was 14 and started doing it in earnest, I had this huge, fat, denim-covered 3-ring binder just filled with all my emotional writing, and I actually did that purge and burn thing where I tore sheets out, sheet by sheet by sheet, hundreds of pages actually, and threw them into the fireplace and burned it all. I guess because I was embarrassed by some of the things that I had written about. But I wish now that I still had that. It would be interesting. Be interesting to draw parallels when Anna is 14. It would be interesting just to see how far I've come. But I do have journals that I kept during a year of like intense self-work and recovery after a breakup that I still like to go back and read. I surprise myself sometimes by the things that I write. So, originally I started a Diaryland account because I read the blogs written by this acerbic, bright woman who went by the pseudonym of Mimi Smarty Pants, which of course then led me to Deuce. I read some of her things, and I was reading the Mothers Who Think bulletin boards, or if you want to call it that, in Salon.com. I was reading those regularly too, and this was all about 4 years ago when I started to get involved. And things have just snowballed and progressed. I decided that Diaryland was outdated. I wanted to go to LiveJournal so that I could have more of a friends network and view my friends' pages. I never started a MySpace account. I don't think I will, but I do like, I still have, content on Diaryland that I kept there for over a year. And then for a while I was keeping Diaryland and LiveJournal going at the same time. But anyway, I'm mostly write when I do write over at LiveJournal. But I noticed there's always a switch. I will be very involved in one thing, and then suddenly I'll discover something else and I'll switch. Well, I first started writing in order to write, in order to try to hone the craft of writing. And I would try experimental things. I would try like free writing and poetry, and then I wanted to record, just little snippets from my day with Anna. I thought that was interesting, and it would be nice to have that record. But when I became the recipient of a nice camera for the first time in my life, I really started to get into developing images, to framing and composing images, and to thinking about what I wanted to put online. And then I taught myself Photoshop and taught myself, through lots of online tutorials and books. But and I became really interested in manipulating images, and I spent a long time doing that. And then when I received an upgraded camera that had a much better video card capacity, it could videotape at 30 frames per second instead of 15 and for longer amounts of time, then I became very interested in creating videos and working with video software like iMovie. And anyway, now I find that what the main things I like trying to just produce decent quality video. You know, I like to, and I like vlogging because it's a creative outlet, but it's also just a tool for learning. It's a tool for learning. I'm not here to rant and vent, you know, and I'm not using this as a substitute for psychotherapy or talk therapy. But I do think that you can learn a lot about yourself by speaking and then reviewing what you've said later on. It also helps me to learn how to behave. I know that sounds weird, but when I was making the videos and about Asperger's and how I suspect that I at least had some form of autism or fall somewhere on the autistic spectrum, and people are like, no, you don't. How can you even say that, you know? Oh, sneeze. Big sneeze. The kind of teasing, building sneeze. Where I'll edit this later. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the point I was trying to make is that I learn how to behave by reviewing some of these vlogs. And yes, it's how to behave on camera, but you know, my basic expression when I'm not engaged, when I'm not thinking, speaking, and doing something, I know that my basic expression, this is going to sound so odd, but it's rather vacant and mean. And I know this because I've seen image after image, snapshots taken by other people where I wasn't, you know, in the photo or I wasn't engaged in what was happening in the room, and I just look vacant and mean. Like there's a coldness and a disconnectedness. And I know it's hard to believe that and understand that because you're not me. That's why it's hard for us to understand what other people see in themselves if we don't see it. But the truth is, it's been a lifelong journey learning how to connect to other people. It is important to me. I have two true friends, two really good friends. Three, if you count Carl, and I definitely count Carl. And I rather like it. I like that. And yet I know that my life would probably be richer if I could connect on that deep, satisfying level with more people. The truth is, I have zero tolerance for small talk. And I always just thought it was like some sort of superior attitude I had where, like, if we're not going to talk about something important or if we're just going to talk about the weather, why waste time? But as I review other people's videos who talk about not really understanding how other people think, I've always just dismissed it as like, I don't understand that person, and I don't need to understand that person. I only try to understand the people that I have to deal with on a daily basis. You know, my family, teachers, people teaching my child. I'm starting to ramble a little too much. I think this will be a two-parter also because I think I've spent 9 or 10 minutes here. It's not a rubby thing this time. I'm going to collect myself and come back later.